Oh God Almighty! You know what? The intro's out the window because Kev just. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LC Transfer Room. Look, let's be honest. There's only like one or two things we're going to discuss. We're going to briefly touch on Salah's supposed PSG offer. We're going to touch on supposedly all this Trent stuff. Like Jamie says, Happy New Year, everyone. It is New Year. If you're hungover and watching in bed, that's absolutely perfect. I'm not personally. Don't know if anyone else is, but we've got. I say plenty to go through, but this is pretty much just going to be Trent talk TV, talk sport, talk Trent, like whatever you want to call it. That is going to be the main topic of discussion probably for the next week, because I think that news announcement yesterday on Sky Sports about Madrid putting in an offer has just sent everyone into a bit of a whirlwind, and we're just going to break it down today because there is so much to discuss. Brandon says, let him go if he wants to go. Very lucky to get the vice captaincy. That's something we can discuss a bit later on. I mean, yeah, what does everyone make of it? Because I'm personally at the point now where I'm just shit or get off the pot. I don't care anymore. I'm beyond bored of it, and it does not interest me. Anyone want to give a thought and opinion on this, and we'll just go back and forth and let us know in the comments what you think about it. I mean, Kev, I'll go to you first, and then literally everyone just jump in, because I thought you were going to pop a blood vessel.
No,
going. Then like, go on, give us the discussion.
This to me is just playing in everyone's hands. How many of them have been waiting till yesterday and not unsigned to then say, man, there's now be Real Madrid? We all know what was going to happen. We all know that Real Madrid are hunting, and everyone knows that they're going to be doing that. We already know, because we're all intelligent people here. We all know that there's going to be
speak for yourself.
Some kind of PSG or some kind of other team coming in and going, right, well, we'll throw this at them. Usually it's Barcelona, but Barcelona cock things up for themselves for life that they haven't been able to, because they'll be all over this. It's just part of the whole dance. And I'll be honest, I got over Trent about September time. I'd literally had enough, and I haven't really spoke about it. I've spoken about what I would do, but what I would do and what the club would do are going to be two separate things, two separate identities. He's looking for a reaction. The reaction is that we don't want him to go. He gets that now. A lot of people are now, probably no doubt, on some social media platforms, are already burning his shares or whatever. We haven't had nothing official. Do you know what I mean? And this is the reactiveness of what everyone wants. This is how mental it gets. And I'm not going to be part of it, of this kind of dance. I've been watching. I tend to watch series and never let them go, because I don't watch the last series whatsoever. So I've started watching all them to end them. So I've been watching The Wire since yesterday. It's been great. I've been watching that. I've took my mind off it. I've distracted myself. I've gone for a walk as well. What else are we going to do? You stay in the pot too long. You constantly talk about it, and then you rant about it, and then you vent about it, and then you lose a blood vessel. What's the point? Why? It's mad how we play along to, like, the puppeteers are putting things out there, and like us on a string, we play along to the same song and dance. Now, if you didn't get the reaction, you wouldn't hear nothing about it. And I just wish people could just switch off until something certain comes out. Now, if the inevitable happens, it happens. We move on. He won't be the first. He won't be the last. And if it's not him, it'll be someone else down the line. But playing part of this rigmarole of, what do we think about this, when really all they're doing is just fueling the rage that is already within the fan base already, that we already know where we stand with. And I'll be honest, I'm not playing along to it, especially to a millionaire. Why are we playing along and pleading with a millionaire to stay with us when his greed and the wealth that he wants is to move to where it's best meters?
Are we pleading with just to play the sort of devil's advocate, and Carter and Tom, feel free to jump in on this one, because from what I've heard, I don't think Liverpool are pleading with him. I think it's very much he's the one demanding more from everything we've heard. And like Kev said, like I don't care anymore. I'm past giving any resemblance of a shit. I just don't care. You either stay or you don't. Just make up your mind and do one or the other. But at the minute, it doesn't look like we're pandering to him or giving him whatever. But, you know, at the same time, is he really coming out and making demands? Like, what? Just, yeah, give your thoughts on it. Just, Carter, and just, like, let us know. What do you think Kev said here?
Yeah, I agree with Kev. I'm bored of the whole Trent thing, to be honest. And like everyone else, I'm desperate for Virgil and Salah to stay because you can't replace them. They're once in a generation players that you'll never find again for another 10, 20 years. If you're lucky, probably never see anyone like them at two ever again. But whereas Trent, you've got someone right there in Conor Bradley, who's, I'm not saying he's as good as Trent, but you know, he's a different player to Trent, but he can do an equally as good a job, just a different job. You know, he can't play a pass like Trent does, but he can put a tackle in like he did on Mbappe. Like Trent, I've never seen Trent do anything like that. So, like I said, he's a different player, but he's equally as good in that right back role for me. So yeah, I agree with Kev. I'm not bothered about Trent. But I don't blame him for wanting to go to Madrid personally. I know a lot of people think differently, but I don't have too much of a problem with him wanting to go there. The whole lot of free thing is the issue. I think a lot of people are going to have with it. You know, because you could get the club 100 million, whereas if he's going to leave on a free, that does leave a bit of a sour taste. Yeah, but for me, in terms of him wanting to move, I don't have too much of a problem with it. And yeah, I just want the whole thing resolved now. If he is going to stay, he's being very selfish, I think, because you know the headline's just all about him. So if he wants to stay, he needs to say it, and then you know all them headlines are kind of brushed aside, and we know he wants to stay. So for me, I think his mind's made up, because if he wanted to stay, I think he would have said it by now. So yeah, I think his mind's made up already. They obviously want him. I think he wants them. So for me, I think it's pretty much a done deal. And as I said, I'm not too bothered. I think, like I said, if he wants to stay, I think it is selfish, because he could easily come out and say, I love this club, I want to stay here. Like Van Dijk and Salah have done. They've come out, haven't they, and said how much they love being here, and that's kind of put everyone's mind at rest. Whereas Trent, he hasn't said anything like that. So that's what I'm saying. If he does want to stay and he's not saying anything, that is selfish, because he's putting himself in the headlines when it should be Slot who should be in the headlines. It should be the club in the headlines for all the right reasons. And he's, overshadowing that at the moment, which is a bit of a shame, to be honest. So that's why I say if he does want to stay, he's being selfish, but I don't think he does want to stay. So I think it's a done deal, and I'm not too bothered, as I've said. Van Dijk and Salah, they're the priorities. Get them done, and then what will be with Trent. So yeah, well, I just want it done one way or another now, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Cartman, go on.
I think it's really difficult, because I get what Kev meant, and the word I sort of thought was like circus. Like Ronaldo had a circus, and I think this is, and I was when was the Gerrard Chelsea thing? Like I probably 2004-05 was that sort of.
It was 2004 because we won the Champions League, and that was the thing that sort of kept them around for a bit longer. So
it was like that. Obviously, I was 3, so I do not remember that. But I'm assuming there was lots of similar talk like this around, like saying there's all these clubs that want him. He might go. I know we're in a much stronger position, but I think with top players, it always is kind of a circus. And I think Trent is that good. Like he's probably one of the greatest right backs of all time. Like his talent wise, he's so unique. Like he's so good that there's always going to be that around him. And I get that. I don't really care. I think he is like, for me, he's levels up on Bradley because of what he offers, like tactically. Like if we have Trent, it gives us so many options of what we can do in other areas of the team, because he sort of solves so many issues. But for me, I get Kev's point on like millionaires and stuff, but I think we're all having to pay for quite a lot to watch the football. If you're watching it on TV, you're buying merchandise, everything. I'd rather players like Trent, who come from Liverpool, or guys like Salah, Diaz, all these guys, most of the players in our team come from possibly impoverished areas, working class backgrounds, or just normal people. I'd rather them make £400,000 a week than the club make money, or the club stocks go up and all that stuff. I'm very, obviously I support Liverpool and Liverpool first, but I'm very pro player. I I hope players get paid what they deserve. Like I understand running a club well, but I wish our guys got paid the most money and got sort of what they deserve. Like I get why people are saying, oh, it's greedy, but I hope that players don't not get punished, but that they're rewarded as they would be at other clubs for their contribution to our club. And I just want to say there was the comment about them not paying Trent £300,000 a week in Madrid. I think Alaba's on a lot of money because he went for free. And I think nowadays you almost look at all the players. If you're a top player, if you're at like a Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, you can't leave. Like you actually can't leave your team unless you go for free because it's so important. Like even look at Isak now. Isak is trapped. Kane was trapped for years. Like if you want to go now, you almost have to run your deal down to 1 year and you either go for half, 60, 70% of what you're worth or you leave for a free. So I think it's rubbish, but this is the situation. This is now modern football. Like Saliba, if he ever wants to leave Arsenal and go to Madrid, he'll have to be in the last year or two of his contract. So I just think we're going to see more and more of this every single year. And that's just how it is.
Is that not? That's football. I'm not being funny. Like, I agree. I think this is just something now that's it's spiraled. And until Trent comes out and says, I'm going or I'm not going, or until the club say he's going or not going, or Madrid say he's going or not going, I just don't care. And the thing is, Trent does earn a lot of money and he is a generational talent. That's a phrase that gets thrown around more and more these days, but no one in the Premier League has ever done what Trent does in terms of his passing range. I'm putting him higher than De Bruyne. I'm putting him higher than Beckham. I'm putting him higher than Scholes. I think he is the best passer the Premier League's ever seen. And that's not something that you can duplicate. That's not something you can replace. But at the same time, you look at Mo Salah, a player who came to this club from outside. You look at Van Dijk, a player who came to this club from outside. And then you've got Trent, who lives in the city. He's lived and breathed Liverpool life. He's grown through the academy and got to this point, and he's the one who's making the most fuss of, Ballon d'Ors. Oh, I'm going to do this, the yapper, whatever it is thing. Oh yeah, just it's all just talk. But then you're the one who's saying things that spin the narrative towards, oh, well, Madrid might want me. Just do it or don't do it. And I think Trent right now is not helping himself because, there's people saying, would you sell him now and take the money? No, I don't think. Someone will discuss, but I think if you sell Trent now for what's estimated apparently to be around £12 million, is potentially losing the league standing because of how good Trent is and how effective he's been in the team this season, worth £12 million, which just about covers the Chiesa cost. Is it bollocks? You keep Trent because of what he can do, and getting rid of him now makes absolutely no sense. If he's wanting to play this game of, I can go for free at the end of the season, fine. I don't want you at the club if you're going to be doing that. But selling him now is just a sign of A, weakness to Madrid, and also B, it's just us basically saying, you know what, £12 million for our best right back and one of the best players in the world, not a problem. But if the league went tits up then, what would be the main focus? It would be that. So getting rid of him makes absolutely no sense at the moment. I mean, Kev, like 12 million. I've got so much to say on the Trent thing. I could go for ages, but like, 12 million pounds is Madrid basically testing the water and just saying, look, we're coming for him one way or another. Either do it now or that's it. So
me personally, I have said I'd take 25 mil. For a player who doesn't want to be here and a player that doesn't want to and is probably going to pre-sign something, I'd rather do something like that than keep hold of a player that brings negative vibes and constant talk of Real Madrid. No.
But there's no negative.
There will be a negativity around it because if you keep a player who is going to go at the end of the season, has already pre-signed a contract with Real Madrid, the talk every week is going to be there. So does that leaves Slot with what option? Do you play him? No, because he shouldn't be around the team, the first team squad. He should be moved on or moved to the under-18s. That's simple. They're the only two options on the table. And if you get rid of them, you get rid of someone who doesn't want to be here. Why are we having, and Tom alluded to it, why are we having this, right? And making it all about me, the way Trent is, and all this talk about Trent. When we're in a season, halfway through a season, top of the league, top of the Champions League, semi-final of the League Cup, and about to kick off in the FA Cup, Shouldn't it be all about how the team's doing rather than an individual and individuals, the way he wants to be perceived? He talks about Ballon d'Ors. Name me a player apart from Cannavaro who's won the Ballon d'Or. I'll see you later, lad, because there's no way a right back is winning that. I don't care how good people think Trent is. He's not good and capable of winning a Ballon d'Or, and he won't win it. So he can talk about individual things, but it's a collective thing that the team is about. And when you hear Mo at the end of our game against West Ham saying, I'm more concentrating on Liverpool winning the league, that's what he should be talking about.
Yeah,
rather than talking about individual trophies he can win. It does me head in, but I would seriously 25 mil. Get him out the club if he wants to go. That's the way I'd look at it. 25 mil, not unless. If it's a bit more sound, you can have him in January. You get rid of someone who doesn't want to be around here, and it will be a toxic environment if you keep someone within that squad. And it'll deflate it, because every time we get beat or we lose points, it'll be alluded back to the fact that if Trent hadn't signed a pre-contract, would we be in this situation? So for me, yeah, go on.
Sorry, so it's like when the way like things capitulated at the end of last season, and the instinct that people was to go, it's because Klopp said he was leaving, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, you'll always have that, and you'll always have that.
Yeah.
And that'll be the fuel, that'll be the instigator for everything. Get rid of it at the cause of it, rather than let the smoke fuel up. Right, he needs to grow a pair of bollocks himself and come out and put some and dampen either this what's being put out there, or come out and man up and say, yeah, I'm going. See you later. Sad. If he wants to go, get rid of it, because I don't want someone who doesn't want to be here and concentrating on winning the league with these group of players than keeping someone who's just thinking about himself. And as we see every week and week in with him, there's times where you see that on the pitch from him. He has this kind of, demeanor of him that makes him think, well, I'm too good to be playing here. And he frustrates and has frustrated this season. And regardless of how good he is, and regardless of what certain passes he does, it's great. It's great that we've seen it. It's boss. But at the same time, did we miss him in that Real Madrid game? Did anyone turn around after or during that game thinking we needed Trent in this? No, we don't.
City as well.
Exactly. There's games where he goes missing and has been missing. There's times where he has been the cause and has a weakness. He is a weakness on that right-hand side. The reason why we cover it up so well, and the reason why it's gone so well since Konate's gone out, is because you've got Gomez who's going over and tracking over and covering for him. We've done that all through his career. He's not going to get that kind of same... He's not going to have that built in at Real Madrid. Real Madrid have bigger problems than at right back. They have other issues, and that is just adding to. I reckon it weakens Madrid rather than actually strengthens. Personally,
this season, then Carter and Tom, like, there's people in the comments saying like Trent's ego's out of control. If you can't be asked, then sell him. This season, statistically, and I know statistics are one thing. Like, it's statistically Pickford's been like the best keeper or something like that. It can be a bunch of shit. But Trent is having statistically his best ever season in the Premier League. And that's in terms of his defending, in terms of his passing, in terms of his attacking. He's having his best statistic season up until this point. I'm not seeing an inkling that he's not asked. I'm not seeing an inkling that he can't really be bothered to do this. The issue is he's saying all the wrong things and then doing the wrong things in terms of doing this, but then saying he's doing all these new things. He's saying that the past 4 or 5 contracts I've done haven't been done in public. They've been done behind closed doors. So why are you saying the things that you're saying, doing the things that you're doing? But like, at the same time, just to play the devil's advocate, because I feel like we kind of need to, in a sense, it can't just be all hate. Can you, to an extent, blame Trent? Because I don't like. It's just regardless of what's going on, this is Real Madrid. This is one of the best teams in football history, like debatably top 2, top 3. This is surely an opportunity he couldn't pass up. So in that regard, can you blame him for wanting to test the water a little bit and see if someone wants to come in for him?
I don't personally. As I said before, it's the way he's gone about it and the fact he's going to go for free when he could, give his club 100 million, which is the issue I have. I don't have an issue with Trent wanting to, go to Spain, play for the biggest club in the world. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with him doing all this and saying he wants to win the Ballon d'Or and saying he's proud about his legacy. That's like his main priority, his legacy and all this. That's the issue I have with him. And I agree with Kev. To be honest, if you got 20 mil for him, I'd take it personally, because if it does come out that he's signed a pre-contract agreement now, that ground, I'm telling you, is going to be toxic. The second half of the season, anytime he gives the ball away, anytime he misses a tackle, it's going to be toxic. So I just don't think you need it. So if he is going to go, take the money and get rid of him and just get rid of this problem that's that's over our heads at the moment, because it's just not good for anyone. You don't want Trent going out like that, where the ground's kind of toxic towards him, because it will. Kev will tell you, if he says he's going on a pre-contract, that if he ducks out the tackle or whatever, that ground's not going to be forgiven to him. Tell you that. So, for me, if you get 20 mil, take it and just you just what's the saying? You're just kicking the can down the road, aren't you? Really. So just deal with the problem now. Take the money, and leave on good terms. Because if he's, as I just said, he's not going to leave on good terms if it comes out that he's going in the summer. And what's the point of playing him if he's going in the summer? His head's not going to be all there. He's got to move. He's not going to make that tackle that he might make. If he's staying, he's not going to want to kind of forego that move that he obviously wants to. So, for me, if you get a good offer in this month and he definitely wants to go, get rid. I don't blame him too much for going. It's his attitude and the things he's saying that I've got the problem with.
Like Arthur, I mean, like I can understand completely why people would be like, you know what, if he doesn't want to be here, fine, get rid of him. But we're on for a Premier League title. We're top of the Champions League. We're in the Carabao Cup. Let's say, I'm just going to put you a scenario, and then you can say whether you would sell him or not. So say we sell Trent. Say we get rid of him, £12 million.
Yeah.
And Conor Bradley is then the full-time right back. Let's say Bradley gets injured, and then you haven't put Canate and Quansah as your partnership at the back, or Gomez and Canate and Van Dijk and Robertson, and things go wrong, things capitulate. The narrative then becomes, has the club really just sold Trent for 12 million when you could have kept him until the end of the season doing what he was doing? Like, with that scenario in mind, are you still wanting to sell him in January, or are you thinking just keep him? If he's going, at least get the most out of him in the time we've still got him?
I think it would have to be a lot more than 12 million for me to consider to sell him. I think one of the big issues, because you got to look at it, is like collectively, and I actually believe this is kind of arguing against what Kevin Thomas said, but I think with this, it kind of reminds me of Hazard when he was at Chelsea, and it kind of feels like everyone kind of knew. We don't actually know. I thought Hazard was more of a certainty, but everyone, the kind of murmuring was he's going to go, and he says, "Oh, this is goodbye." I think, and this is kind of Kev's thing on the ego, and it kind of links their 2 points together. I think that he actually would still go in and he still try hard. Yes, sometimes he is a bit, maybe lazy is the wrong word, but it's because he's a top player, and that's a lot of them are. Like, a lot of them walk around, they reserve energy, they do their thing, and other people carry the piano for them. And I really think that Trent is such, I don't want to say he's an egomaniac because I've never met him, but for Trent, winning another Premier League is massive for his career. The whole point, and the thing is, he can't be viewed as the greatest right back in history if he stays at Liverpool, because he won't be. Whereas he could win, if we could win 2 Champions Leagues and 2 leagues in the next 8 years with Trent, and if he won 1 at Madrid, he'd probably be seen as a better player, because the way people view football, players at Madrid are put on a pedestal. Some of them are really overrated, some of them are top, but a lot of players at Barcelona, Real Madrid, and all these top sides, there's a lot of bias
Jonathan
towards
Woodgate
them.
Went to fucking Real Madrid. So.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of bias towards these guys, and you actually say, like some of the guys who played for Madrid, like Vardy would never get the same respect as them. But Vardy was a top player, and because he played for Leicester. So I think that's why Trent wants to go, and I think Trent understands that winning this stuff here with us now is so big for his sort of Premier League legacy, because 1 league title and 1 Champions League is good, but once you can kind of get up to 2 leagues or 2 Champions Leagues, it really does put you upwards in how you're viewed. Like, you haven't just done it once, you've gone and do it again. So I think we have to. And I think the other issue is, Andy Robertson is playing like a double agent. Like every single game, he seems to try and give them like the first good chance of the game. Like it was like yesterday, it's the Leicester game. It's just constantly, and I feel sorry for him because we should have managed him better in terms of he shouldn't be having to start every game now. We should have slowly started to ease him out. But I think we would literally just be making it way more difficult for ourselves, like to win the league. Like if we start messing up, then it'll be hard. And I agree with some of what Kev said, but he said we beat Madrid and City and we weren't calling out for him. We beat probably the worst City team I've seen in about 15 years. We beat Madrid, who had half a team out. I actually think in the games like Arsenal, where we were a bit under the cosh, Trent's long pass, playing out against the press, in so many games, Trent is sort of the spark. Like, because we're now a lot less risk-taking, Trent is actually sometimes the one who just goes 60-yard ball to feet. Like, I think for the Champions League especially, he's so useful because against a deep block, a mid-block, like the goal against Spurs for Diaz, he can just cross it on a dime from 40 yards away. Or if we're playing against Arsenal, he'll play the long ball over the top and we'll play it over the press. I think if we sold Trent, if Trent leaves in the summer, we need to sign 2 defenders because we have to sort of catch what he gets in the 2 positions. Like it won't be enough to get a right back. It'd have to be a right back and a left back. And you'd have to hope that Trent, Bradley and Robertson and whoever is the new left back, they can all make up for Trent going. So I think it's really difficult for the club.
There's a comment saying it's both ways. Remember Brighton first half, he was shambolic. But this is the thing now. And I think it's football fans are the most stubborn, fickle, like opinionated people, but at the same time, they're the most passionate and tribalistic about all these things. And I think now, because of all this stuff that's going on, that's with the contract, with the marker, magazine coming out of all that news, all this stuff, Real Madrid bidding, suddenly it becomes, well, he's not that good, he's not this, he does this wrong, he makes this mistake. But let's not forget, Trent is one of the best players that the Premier League's seen in terms of what he can do. He's still an academy player. His defending has got a lot better. And what he offers to that team, a lot of people have not been able to do in arguably Liverpool history. His passing is second to none in some regards. And obviously, I'm only of a certain age. Maybe there's people like from years ago who replicated the same kind of things. And there definitely is. I know them. But there's no denying that what Trent has done, he owes us nothing to an extent. In a sense, and it's going to get me flack, I'm not saying it's true because I know Gerrard has a better lineage. Technically, Trent has done more in the Premier League than Gerrard by winning a Premier League title. I'm not saying he's done better. You know what I mean by that. He owes us nothing. But at the same time, Kev, and I understand this is his, like, you wouldn't go out to someone and go through your pay slip and your wages, and if you got a bonus, you wouldn't tell people about it. And Trent shouldn't have to do the same thing. But just the simple, there's conversations, there's discussions, I'm going, I'm not going. Just something rather than being cryptic like what we saw with Salah and Van Dijk, just honesty. Surely that would go a long way in sort of papering over the cracks until we know for definite what's going on.
Exactly. But I don't blame Trent for any of this whatsoever. I don't blame the club. I blame it being a coincidence that it was just a year behind Klopp and his deals. Because that's the fundamental thing. Because once he never signed this and then decided halfway last season, oh, I'm leaving, there's no way in the world that these 3 were going to sign. So there's nothing on them. I would like a bit of honesty, to be perfectly honest, and a bit of that. That's all we want. That's all we want. Yeah, I'm in talks with Real Madrid, but I'm still waiting for the club to either offer me something similar. It'll never play out like that. That's an ideal world. As for him winning 2 Champions League and 2 leagues, that'll be the reason why I'd let him go now, because he's more about his individual and how it looks for him and how it appeases him. Fuck him. 25 mil, we get rid. You're either here for the whole season and you sign for us, or you move on. I can't be bothered with someone who's looking at a CV and filling a CV up with trophies. And to put it in a comparison to Eden Hazard, I'm not really bothered about what they do and what their players are on. It doesn't give me 2 bits, because what happened to him showed how much of a weak player he is. I'm not bothered. What I'm asked about is these young players who think that they now can hold the team to rights as to what they can and cannot want. You want to go, tell the world that you want to go. Tell them all. Because as Tom said, as quite rightly said, as soon as he backs out of a challenge, that will be it. And to keep him and his passing, his wonderful passing, yeah, great. We move on. We play Gomez at right back. We go out and try and get someone else in. That's it. I'm not bothered about keeping a player who does not want to be here and is only here for his own self-independence and his self-righteousness. Bollocks to all that. I'm not here to keep him and demanding that he plays. We move on. If he wants to go, he goes. And that's it. And we move on. And we move on to the next right back who comes in at the club. And we move on as collectively as a team. It is not an individual. And then that's what it'll come down to and boil down to. And if it means we miss out, then we miss out not due to one player, but we miss out collectively because we haven't got through those games. We were in a very good position, and an individual is making it all about himself. And that, at this moment in time, is probably the worst detrimental thing you can start doing at this club and to the supporters and to the fans. You're making it about yourself and not about the team. And that's the problem we've got at the minute of someone trying to rule the roost and to try and, I don't feel loved. We'll move on then. Move on and see if that grass is any greener at Real Madrid, because the love that and the way people think of you here is not going to be in comparison to what will happen in Real Madrid. Just ask Mbappe. Just look at what they were doing during that game to Mbappe when he misses that penalty. It's great. He's a generational talent. There's no doubt about it. But we move on, and we move on collectively, because keeping that in the team, I'll be honest, if I was a captain in our team, I would be kicking off like Van Dijk has done this season to Trent all the time at Anfield. I've seen it in numerous games. He's kicking off because he's too far ahead, or he's doing something stupid and he's editing and out. We don't need it. We don't need it. And to add in the fuel, I've already signed a pre-contract. It's just going to add more toxicity to him when he plays. Sad as it may be. And if it means that we miss out, not because of, because of him. We miss out because collectively we move on as a team and we bring someone else in. If there's no one about now we can get, then fine, fair enough. We see what we've got and we change the formation around if we have to, and we make do with what we've got till the summer. I'm not asked. I'd rather do that.
It doesn't help
than him. Yeah,
I think one thing that doesn't help. Sorry, just because you're making a load of good points, and I'm agreeing with you on a lot of them, and I feel like it's sort of there's a lot to get out. Someone feels like Trent wants the limelight, and you know what? I don't think helps. And I'm showing me increasing years of age. I'm 28 in like 3 days. Is nowadays footballers view football as a chance to increase their personal stock. Followers, people who are watching them online. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And Trent can be looking at this and thinking, Real Madrid, like I can easily increase my own personal stock. Whereas you look at when Steve McManaman made the move to Real Madrid, Michael Owen made the move to Real Madrid. Like it's back then, it was purely for wanting to win this, wanting to win that. And I think a lot of players nowadays is just to increase their own personal growth in terms of their online personality, their online profile, the finance they can receive from things like that, from sponsorships. And he will just become another small piece on the mural of Real Madrid. Keep in mind, Real Madrid have taken some of the greatest players from the history of the Premier League. Gareth Bale is not remembered fondly at all. Eden Hazard obviously didn't do very well. He's not remembered fondly at all. David Beckham, one of the greatest ever Premier League players, is viewed as nothing more than just a transitional period of time. Michael Owen, he was only there for a season, but you go and do these great things. Steve McManaman won 2 Champions Leagues with Real Madrid, and a La Liga, and a UEFA Cup, and he's just viewed as nothing more than a player who was there for a cup of tea. You do not get the same respect. And if you stay at this club, like we've seen with Coutinho as just an example, I was going to go through more, but my brain's gone blank. But Coutinho just being a prime example of it. Someone who goes to these big clubs thinking the grass is going to be greener. And then if you go through the past 10 years of Liverpool, there's maybe one or two players who have gone off and improved. And the only ones that come into my head are Luis Alberto and Dominic Solanke. No one leaves this club and particularly excels and does better. And Trent could go and do amazing things because what he does is absolutely phenomenal. But he's not going to be regarded the same. You can win 5 Champions Leagues at that club. Ronaldo is probably the only player from that team, bar maybe one or two others, who was viewed as godlike status in Real Madrid. And he's one of the top 4 players in the history of football. If Trent thinks he's going there, winning Ballon d'Ors, going to get the love and admiration of those fans, they don't give a shit. Not in a nasty way, but you look at what happened when they signed Eden Hazard. The fans are chanting, "We want Mbappe, we want Mbappe." They're not going to care. And I mean, Tom, like, Trent, I suppose he probably could excel in Real Madrid. But I'm going to put this other scenario to you, this flip thing, is, yeah, Real Madrid have bid, and it could be like that bit in Star Wars. I don't want to sound like a daughter now, but like in Return of the Jedi, when he basically says to Jabba and goes, "Look, free us or die." And this feels like it's Real Madrid either saying, take it or tough. Or is there possibly a world where this is Real Madrid saying, you know, the longer this goes on, they've heard something that we haven't, and it could be a case of, if we leave this till summer, there's a good chance we don't get him, so we need to go for it now. Like, is that a possibility of the two options? Like, that could happen?
I can't see a January move happening, if I'm honest. I think it's just a bit of a ploy to kind of get in his head, get our fans kind of, as we've seen the reaction online, that's exactly what they want in it. From that headline they put out the other day, they want to cause that uncertainty within the fan base. They want to unsettle Trent, and they've exceeded in that. They've pulled off a masterclass. To be fair, they've done exactly what they wanted to do. Everyone's unsettled. He's in the headlines all the time, and like I said, that's exactly what they want. But yeah, I don't see a January move happening. I think it's just, as I said, to kind of unsettle him ahead of the summer. But yeah, I'm as I said, I'm kind of calm on the situation. I think every time Bradley's come into the team, I know he doesn't have the quality of Trent, but every time Bradley's been in that team, have we ever thought, "Oh, I can't wait till Trent's back"? I know I haven't. It's one of them. The question always is, actually, when Trent's been injured, does he actually get back in the team or does he not? And the only time he's actually come, I think Trent's last 2 injuries, one last season, Bradley's dad passed away, didn't he, when Trent just came back? So that's why Bradley came out. And then this time, I think Bradley got injured, didn't he, just as Trent came back? So both times, Trent's not kind of just made himself just put in the team. It's been like unforeseen circumstances kind of thing. And as I said, both times Bradley's been in that team, it has been a case of, does Trent get back in? I honestly don't think we miss. We obviously, of course, we miss his quality on the ball, but we don't miss his laziness. We don't miss his average, at best, defensive qualities. We don't miss, the arrogance. With Bradley, you get someone who's got an engine. You have someone who's good defensively. You have someone who's good going forward. As I said, he's more of a right back. Trent's a better footballer, of course he is. But is he a better right back than Conor Bradley? I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. So yeah, for me, I'm calm on the situation. I can't see a January move happening. I think it's just a ploy. But yeah, I'm calm. Bradley, for me, he's 21 years of age. I think he's captain in Northern Ireland already, isn't he? If I'm not mistaken. I think he's just an all round very good right back. So yeah, I'm calm on it. He can go if he wants, and that's all. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he does captain Northern Ireland as well. You are absolutely right. That completely slipped my mind. I didn't even know that he did that. But yeah, he is the captain of Northern Ireland, just to sort of. Jamie Hughes says that it's good therapy, and you know what, it is good for therapy. And I think this is something that the issue is, Carter, like with a lot of these modern. And again, I sound like I'm being ancient, but like you look at Sky Sports and you'll get occasionally Jamie Carragher, who is quite honest, you like to think. Gary Neville, same sort of thing. Then you've got TalkSport, you've got all these other programs where there's only so much they can sort of say. So no one is particularly being honest about the situation. I'm with this issue, with the Trent issue, he's not outright came out and been like, I'm going, I'm staying. And I said earlier on, I want a bit of honesty. But he could have handled this a lot worse. And I'm going back to like when Suarez got to the end of that 13-14 season, he just signed a contract, like literally, it was December of that year, I think it was. and then he left. But we all knew he was going to be leaving. Coutinho was the same sort of situation. Torres was the same sort of thing. He's not, considering that his mind's all over the place, he's still performing. He is still putting out terrific numbers. So if a pre-contract does get agreed as such, would we see a decline? Because to be fair, I think he is quite professional in terms of his play and the way he conducts himself. So would we see a decline, or would it just be a sort of, it's happening, but I'm still gonna put in the effort kind of thing?
I think that you'd still see him play a lot. I think he's one of the few, sort of like Alisson, like Van Dijk, maybe like Konate and Salah now, where when they fit, they play. Like, I think they're held in that regard. And I think the difficult thing is like, I think Trent will give 100% because Trent wants to be a winner. I think one of the things you're saying, I can't remember what you said, but it was, I think Trent has a special something. He has, so I would say him and Nunes both have like balls, like they both have like courage to try stuff. But I think Nunes is a bit, Nunes up here, sort of, he wants to try it, but he can't. He hasn't got the guile to pull it off. Whereas I think Trent, Barcelona, Trent, Origi's there. How many players would be, maybe I should have done that. Trent just tries it and it comes off. And it's time and time again where we need something and Trent turns up. And I actually think if I was ranking them, and this might sound mad because Salah's on track for a Ballon d'Or, I would say Van Dijk's the hardest to replace. Trent is the second hardest to replace for the team, and Salah's the easiest, because I think defensively it's more about system. Like if you look at Spurs have four. I know they're all injured. Spurs have 4 good defenders and can't defend. Like last year, we had 4 good defenders and we couldn't defend. I think it's all about Sepp, and I think Van Dijk. What could we do? We can't replace that. Trent, I don't think you can replace what he offers. I think Salah, you just sign 2 very good attackers and hope that they can. You upgrade the other areas of the attack. Where I think Trent kind of also has us a bit of a barrel, because how do we replace what he offers? Like I think Slot's been very smart, where I think we're less reliant on him than we were under Klopp.
Well, he's subbing him off more as well.
Yeah. And I think actually Bradley, I do like that Bradley's quite comfortable coming in, but I think it's the same thing with Quansah last year. People are like, Quansah's better than Colwill. Quansah's one of the best defenders in the world. He's going to have ups and downs. He's a young player. I think at the start, Bradley had some sort of suspect defensive performances. I think he's been I think he's been more consistent, but at times he has 1 or 2 bad games, and that's going to happen. And I don't think it's like, well, what do we do? Like, I think for me, if Trent went, he's injury prone, but I'd want Tino Livramento from Newcastle. I think he's the one, but I just think we're just stuck. We're just really in I think we're in a weird limbo of him, because all the other guys are older, and you actually can't. I don't know how we would replace what he offers, because I think without Trent this year, I think we're 12 points worse. I think if he doesn't play at all, I think we're 8 to 12 points worse team. So I just think it is really difficult. I do feel for Hughes, because I think it is more of a Klopp and Schmacker problem, but I just don't know. I think sometimes you just end up in like unfortunate positions as a club, and we're just gonna have to deal with it. But we're Liverpool, and as players come and go, so we'll be fine.
Mate, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? This is not the first time this has happened. It will not be the last. This is football. No one stays here forever. Rush left and then came back. Like Fowler left and came back. I'm not saying Trent's going to come back at all, but the players go and you replace them. We lose Torres. Suarez joins that same transfer window. We lose Coutinho. We bolster the squad. And there's a comment that was like, I give him too much credit, and unlike Kev, you're showing zero clarity. How can Trent expect us to see through the season with his future in limbo? We countless times in the past, we've had players who we are resigned to the fact that they're leaving, or we know they're going to be going, or we know that their minds are elsewhere. I think Suarez is one of the best examples of the past 2 decades, maybe, of someone who we knew was going to be going. We knew he wasn't going to be sticking around. He was literally in conversations with Arsenal the season before. He had Barcelona basically tapping him up for the whole season, but because he was performing, because he was putting out the numbers he was and doing what he did, we accepted it. I'm not saying Trent is up that same level as Suarez. I don't think there's few players at that point who are. But if he's performing, if he's doing what he's doing, if he leads us, or not leads us, but he contributes to us winning a Premier League title and going into the Carabao Cup and going to the Champions League, I think fans will accept him. They're not going to be happy with the situation, but there's a difference between going into the situation of him agreeing a contract and just downing tools and giving up, and agreeing a pre-contract agreement, but still putting out terrific performances, still providing assists, still passing the way he does, scoring goals. There's a way to do it. There's a right way and a wrong way. And I think up until this point, Trent has probably been doing things the right way on the pitch, the wrong way off the pitch. If he agrees the deal but continues to do what he does on the pitch, I'll be miserable. I'll be pissed off. But I won't care, because all I'm asked about is seeing results on the pitch. And as long as we're getting them, he can be going to Madrid, he can be going United, he can do whatever he wants. As long as I'm seeing my team win and get trophies and do what they're doing, I could give a shit what he does. So that's my stance on it. And I mean, Kev, like, Trent doing what he's doing so far. Yeah, defensively, we touched on, he's not terrific, but he does perform very well. Would you see a world where I know you touched on the dressing room earlier on becoming a bit more of a toxic environment, but would he down tools, do you think? Do you think that's in his personality to down it, or?
No, and look, you're talking about a fellow who's going to join his best mate. So he's going to be in great spirits, and it'll come off in that. What I'm talking about is those moments in big games, 50-50 challenges, where you want him to put in the effort. Is he going to be in full-heartedly like he was when he was under contract and there was no Real Madrid? Do you know what I mean? Because he's not going to go in for the 50-50 and a leg breaker. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why it's hard, it's difficult. What I would do, I would cut off my nose to spite my face, because I would get rid of him and leave him with one European Cup and one Premier League, and then I'd send his medal via DHL through the post to him, right? But that's just me, right? But I'd do it till the end of Christmas, something like that, so he gets it late, right? No fault of our own. Sorry, you should have been around. I know Slot isn't going to do that, right? Slot is a very different person to what me and a lot of our fan base are. So what I would say and what I would do is half of what our fan base would either agree with or disagree with. Everyone has their own opinion. My opinion is no better than Tom's or Carter's or yourself. But me personally, that's how I would deal with this situation, because there's no need to have him around. And in that environment, of that winning environment, you're going to be playing against next season, and kind of has a better inkling and a better idea of how you've set up and started play. So it's like giving away something to, the way I see it, to one of your biggest rivals. I'd get rid of him, and either Real Madrid fork up the money, or I'll waste his talent to the end of the season with the under-18s. That's the way I would deal with the whole situation, and keep him away from the team whatsoever. I'd have him training on hours when the squad isn't there, and on days when the team don't normally necessarily train. So like Sundays, Monday evenings, just to mess with them, right? That's how I would do. But I know Slot won't do that. Slot will keep him the way the likes of what Carter said and the way you've said as well. And that's going to frustrate us fans, and it's going to anger us, because there are going to be times and moments. There are going to be moments where you're going to see that, and it's going to get difficult. And there's been times this season already where you've seen Virgil kicking off on Trent, and the fans kicking off on Trent as well, because either he's taking his time or he's got that kind of demeanour of, I'm better than anyone here. And regardless of whether he is or not, I don't want to see that. And that's the frustrating thing. And then that sends the anger down. And then that's what happens and spirals out. Let's see and wait and see what happens. But it's mad though, isn't it? It's just, but you know, it's all part. And what we're doing is what I said at the start, I'm actually doing now, which is I'm being very reactionary and very, very much reacting to the situation. And that's playing to the PR that Madrid have done. And I think Tom or Carter has alluded to. And we're always reacting. It's mad, and it baffles me and it frustrates me that we are having, like, we've spent 50 minutes talking about this when we should be looking forward to a great match against United, and the fixtures coming up. And yet it's all about one individual and what's going to happen. It's mad. It baffles me. It explodes my mind when that happens. And it's mad because we have different opinions. And it's been great tonight because we've got different views on how we would treat it. And everyone's got a different way of looking at it. And that's great. But what it shouldn't be is having these conversations. It should be more like this, respecting everyone's opinion, but also expressing your own. And as long as everyone does that, then that's the way it should be. But it's when you see it online and it gets a bit too toxic, maybe that's the time when everyone needs to step away. But for me, while this is going on, until something official happens, I'll be watching another. So if anyone can give me a new series to watch while all this is going on during the transfer windows, then please put in the comments because I'll need something to watch.
Ooh, get on. I know it went a bit bad towards the end. Get on Dexter. Dexter's great. Love Dexter. But like, I mean, I'll put forward the question that's probably going to break the internet a little bit. Let's say, for argument's sake, Day of the Jackal as well. I've heard good things about that. Let's say, for argument's sake, Salah is doing what Trent is doing, or Van Dijk is doing what Trent is doing, but they're still putting in the performances they are. With everything that's been said, we'll go to Tom and Carter. Would you do what Kev's done, where you think Salah wants to go to Madrid, but he's still putting in the numbers that he does, drop him from the team, even if it is a detriment to the side? Or do you say, well, you know, he's still doing what he's doing. We know he's not going to be here. You've got to keep playing him, because surely if you do it for one player, yeah, different levels, I agree. But if you're doing it for one player, you have to do it for all of them. And all three of them are in the same potential situation. So would you be doing it?
I think that, well, I do agree to an extent. But I think the difference with Trent is someone who's, you know, he's replaceable. Trent isn't, whereas the other two aren't replaceable. As I just said, when both times Bradley's been in the team, when Trent's been coming back, no one's been saying, "Oh, we really, really miss Trent. Can't wait for Trent to come back." It's always been the question of, does Trent actually come back in? So that's why for me, I mean, I'd still be a bit torn on it. You know, I don't want players who don't want to be here. But at the same time, if you take Van Dijk or Salah out that team, you see a massive drop off. Whereas if you put Bradley in that team, we've seen it. We don't drop at all. We're just a different team. For me, we're not a better or a worse team. We're just a different team. And the results have shown that. If anything, we're actually better with Bradley. I think, you know, when Bradley's been in the team, we actually do really well. So yeah, like I said, you never want someone who played in the team who doesn't want to be there. But at the same time, if you take one of the other two out, it's a different team. If you take Trent out, I don't think you see much of a dip in results. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Arthur, like, because I feel like you're a very intelligent person.
Thank you.
That's okay. You know. But same thing, like Kev said, if Trent doesn't want to be here, you know, drop him or get rid of him. If Salah doesn't want to be here, and he's doing what he's doing, or Van Dijk, would you be dropping them or selling them? Because just cut off your nose to spite your face.
I think Salah's the only unique one where I think Van Dijk still could do 4 years, whereas Salah, as good as I think he is, next year he could just get a lot worse. Like, that's just how it can be with forwards. So I think Salah maybe, but I think the other guys, I just think this is how it is almost now. Like Messi at Barcelona was a free agent every year because he'd sign a 1-year extension, and that's how he ended up on like a ridiculous contract. Because every year it would go up a little bit of money, he'd get to the end, sign another contract, and he just had Barcelona basically over a barrel, and he could just, oh, I want more money, I want more money, I want more money. And I think now you look at players like, I think we have to kind of get used to this. I think we have to get used to, because it's happened in American sports, it's happening here. Players are just running deals down. Because let's say, I don't know if you lot agree. I know maybe we don't all agree on João Pedro, but let's say Morgan Rogers, right? I think he looks like a top player. I think he looks really good.
I think he's class.
I think personally, he can play left wing, he can play 10. I think he'd be an unbelievable player for us. We couldn't sign him until he's on the last year of his deal. Like, physically, I think even then it would still be 80, 70, 80, 90 million, probably at this point now. So it's changing now. It's just, this is how it is. It's now, it's like football, loads of things have changed over time, but this is now just going to be so prominent. and it is annoying. And I think Trent is a unique situation because he's 26, whereas the other guys are older and you go, we're just kind of pushing. This is a problem for 2 years later. Whereas Trent, like we thought this was going to be our guy. We thought he was going to be one of the most capped players, probably one of the most successful Liverpool players, and now he might be going. So I think it is really difficult. But I just think with all those three, I think you kind of have to bend slightly. You shouldn't do too much, but you are going to have to bend to their will a little bit, and they've got to bend to yours. I think it's a two-way street with players that are that good.
Yeah, no, I agree, and yeah,
Like wait,
I
can I
don't
ask
think
you
that-
guys?
If
If Trent, let's say Trent says, I want to sign, but and I know we don't do buyouts, but let's say he said, I want an £80 million option for Madrid that can only be used in the first window of the summer for the next 5 years. Would you be if he was just like, look, you get a fee. If we leave early in the window, would you be okay with that? I think I would consider it because at least we get money.
I think things would be a lot more easier if there was something like that, a release clause within his contract that was a reasonable amount for what the club would get for his talent, and I'd be well in that. Just going on what Carter alluded to, agent fees are now part of the actual transfer fee, isn't it? So things have changed there. So the agents will be asking them to run them down because their fees will go dramatically more when it comes to the end of it. So this is probably the way it's going to go. And as Carter alludes to, we're going to have to try and get used to it. What we didn't expect it to be happening to us as quickly and to one of our best young players, which is the reason why you're seeing so much of a whirlwind around it. And I think I'm hoping that this sends out a message to our hierarchy, because at the minute it does look as though our weakness is not on the pitch and it's actually building over the cracks that our hierarchy have put us in at the minute. You look at where we are with these three players and how it's being played out, and it's the talking point and will be the talking point until either they come out and say they're signing or they move. This is not the Liverpool way, and things have to dramatically change, because if we're playing this now, I fear to see what's going to happen with other players down the line. Do you know what I mean? And like anyone, you're gonna have like in the jungle. There's always going to be people around, vultures around, who will be looking to bring our players and hoping that they've run the deals down. We can't be like this. And it frustrates me that so early after the Bosman rule and McManaman went, and then, Suarez decides I'll bite someone again to force a move. Do you know what I mean? So, it's this, it always feels as though it's us. And I hate that, and it won't be long until Arsenal have this issue with Saliba possibly, or maybe Saka or someone like that. But we have to learn from this. Lessons have to be learned. Our hierarchy is probably our weakness at the minute, and our team are actually performing that well. That's actually we're blinkered to what's going on with the hierarchy, and I think this has just shown where the weakness actually is within our club. Me personally, I don't know if anyone else agrees with that.
Tom, do you want to give your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've made my thoughts clear on the ownership on the chat. I think that, for many years now, it's not just the lack of spending; it's all the stuff off the pitch. I just don't think they're good owners at all. You don't hear from him, do you? When do you ever hear from him? When do you ever see him at the game? What he doesn't make any kind of indication that he actually cares about this club, does he? To be honest with you, and as I said, the Fairlow, the £77, the trademark of Liverpool. We can go on and on. I mean, I don't want to moan about the owners all the time, but I do really think they get away with it with our crowd, and we are. That's a good point of our crowd. We are tolerable. We are patient. But yeah, for me, these owners, this ownership, it's been poor. To put it kindly, and yeah, Kev's right. This is kind of what Man United do, being in the headlines for this kind of thing. This is not what we should be about. So yeah, it's definitely a lesson to be learned. We can't have this again because, as I said, it's a shame that the talking point isn't how good this team are and what a special season we're having and how well the manager's doing and how well the team's playing. That's what should be the talking point. It shouldn't be about this. So yeah, definitely lessons to be learned. And I hope we run the club better in the future and don't get ourselves in a situation like this again.
Yeah, I mean, I've made the comparison a few times. It feels very much like Arsenal over the past sort of, maybe not so much now under Arteta, but back when it was like the Wenger era and a little bit towards the Emery era, where it was like Sanchez was out of contract, Ozil was out of contract, I think Aubameyang was out of contract. Like, so many players were getting their contracts ran down, and everyone was just taking the piss, being like, "You've let this happen," and we've got into a similar situation. We are going to shoot in a second. Jamie, you said, can we comment on Mark's point from above, which was Trent's wages will be used for someone else better who fits Arne's system? And possibly, he said similar to the Coutinho situation, but the difference was Coutinho got us £100-something million at money outright. Trent's wages, I don't know. I mean, it could be used for elsewhere, but I personally don't see much of it. I'm of the point now where I know Trent is going to go. I just want it done. I just want an answer. I just don't care anymore. I care about what happens on the pitch. I care about what happens off the pitch in terms of what affects my club directly. Someone who doesn't want to be here or someone who is teasing or wanting to join another club, I just don't care. It's not my priority. I'm more excited about seeing us smash Man United at the weekend than I would be Trent signing a new contract. I understand that it might be a bit sort of not horrible to an extent, but I would rather us beat United 7-0 again than Trent sign a new contract, because there's certain memories that will live on in my mind forever. Trent has done so much, but I'm past caring, because I watch football to be entertained. I don't watch it to be a PR journalist and study what's going on behind the scenes. And that is our stream, because I've just waffled for the last few minutes just to sort of get that there. But here we are anyway. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Kevs, Carter, and Tom, for joining us. If you want to watch tomorrow, same time, 7:30 p.m. If you want to see more of me, come check out my channel. If you want to see any of these guys, go check out the Twitters and make sure you tune in here every single day. Jamie said it's an incredible stream today. Well, thank you very much. And we'll see you all in the next